Well, the most awaited film of the year has finally hit the screens after a long wait. But this time, The Conjuring Last Rites ends the story of Ed and Lorraine Warren, while leaving the door open for future stories within the greater horror franchise. The ninth film in the overall Conjuring franchise, Last Rites, basically focuses on the final investigation of Ed and Lorraine and follows on their encounter of Smurl haunting, which ultimately led the couple to bow out of their otherwise risky profession. This last threat ends up targeting their daughter Judy, which brings the franchise's overtones about the importance of family and faith into the forefront once again. The film brings back to a full circle as the result is a dramatic confrontation between the Warrens and an old enemy that, at least, gives way to the best possible ending for the iconic family. So, without wasting another moment, let's discuss what the last hurrah of the Warrens in the Conjuring Universe has in store for us all. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
So patiently for you.
What is the initial premise of The Last Rites? So, the movie kicks off with a good old flashback to one of Ed and Lorraine Warren's early cases where they are called to a peculiar little shop where an antique mirror seems to be hiding something far darker than its reflection. As the Warrens dig in, a demonic presence tries to break through, terrorizing the shopkeeper and his daughter. The tension further spikes when Lorraine, who has just given birth to their only child, Judy, who was stillborn at first, fights to pull her baby back from the edge of death. Now that they are visibly shaken, the couple makes the difficult choice to lose track of the mirror, never realizing how much that decision will come back to haunt them in the coming years. The film then jumps ahead to 1986, when Ed and Lorraine are now retired from their high-risk job, choosing to spend their days on quieter, safer pursuits until the Smurl family's haunting drags them back into the world they thought they had left behind. We then see the story shift to the Smurls, who are a big family of 8 all sharing one house. Jack and Janet Smurl live there with Jack's parents, Mary and John, and their 4 daughters, Dawn, Heather, and the twins, Karen and Shannon. For Heather's birthday, her grandfather John gifts her a large mirror, which the family decides to hang up without giving it a second thought. But not long after, during Heather's confirmation, a heavy kitchen ceiling light suddenly comes crashing down, barely missing her, and I think this incident was more than enough for the family to consider it as the first sign that something is clearly not right. Soon after, Janet and the girls start hearing strange, disembodied voices, spotting dark shapes slipping through the halls, and experience an escalating series of frightening events which are becoming harder to explain or ignore. All these disturbances seem to circle back to the mirror, leaving the 2 oldest daughters so unnerved that one night, they try to get rid of it in secret by throwing it away, hoping to free their house of whatever evil has taken root inside. Unfortunately, this makes the terror inside the Smurl home only grow worse as one night, the mirror seems to turn on Dawn directly, leaving shards of glass embedded in her body, leading her to collapse and cough up blood in a horrifying scene that shakes the entire family. Meanwhile, Jack faces his own nightmare when the evil entity sexually assaults him in the most violent way imaginable. With no peace left inside their home and no clear answers, the Smurls finally make the desperate decision to go public with the haunting that has consumed their lives, hoping that sharing their story might bring help, or at least some form of validation. Meanwhile, we focus back to the Warrens, where Judy's boyfriend Tony Spera proposes, but Judy is far from at ease as her psychic abilities are beginning to grow stronger than ever, thus concerning her parents even more than before. She is plagued by disturbing visions of Annabelle's odd glassy eyes staring at her, and a demonic woman who corners her in a mirrored dressing room, attacking her as she tries on her wedding dress. During this time, Father Gordon tries to step in and help the Smurls by reaching out to the Warrens for their support. But with Ed and Lorraine retired, they turn him down. A determined Gordon then drove to Pennsylvania to seek help from the Scranton Diocese, only to be brutally attacked by the demon along the way, leading him to take his own life. Following this, at Father Gordon's funeral, Judy lays a hand on his coffin and is hit with a terrifying vision. She immediately realizes how he died in Pennsylvania and decides to investigate the whole incident on her own by slipping away without telling her parents. When Ed and Lorraine discover their daughters missing, they begin frantically searching for Judy, which eventually leads them straight to the Smurl house. There, amid the growing chaos of the haunting, Judy pleads with them to finally step in. So, even if they were reluctant at first, the retired paranormal investigators had no choice but to inevitably give in to their daughter's request. Just as the Warrens are drawn back into battle, the disturbances inside the Smurl house reach terrifying new heights. Eventually, Judy can feel herself being drawn to the Smurl house, as if something inside is calling out to her. While the Warrens start their investigation, the atmosphere turns suffocating as the objects rattle and shift on their own. Chilling whispers echo through the rooms, and the very walls seem to breathe with dread. At the center of it all is the mirror, whose presence radiates pure malice after everyone realizes that it was the core source of all the evil that has been unfolding at the Smurl house. Moreover, Judy, who is now older and far more attuned to energies of the spiritual world, feels the pull most strongly after sensing the darkness and becoming increasingly increasingly drawn towards the cursed mirror. After almost being compelled upstairs, Judy finds herself in the attic where the mirror seems to be waiting for her with its power wrapping around her like a snare. This is when she is suddenly attacked by the Annabelle doll, who has manifested itself in a monstrous form before coming at Judy with full force. As night falls, the spirit in the mirror only grows bolder and goes on to sweep through the Smurl home with terrifying force. It sets its sights on Judy, attempting to possess her body while trapping Lorraine in the basement and forcing Tony outside when he and Ed try to move the mirror into the car. To their horror, their efforts are useless, because no matter how far they try to take it away, the mirror inexplicably reappears in the attic, as if it had never been touched or left the attic in the first place. As this mirror's grip on the house is tightening with every passing moment, the final battle builds to a tense and heartbreaking confrontation. With no other option left at her disposal, Lorraine reaches deep into her psychic abilities and taps in on them to join forces with Judy in a desperate, telepathic mind-to-mind showdown against the demon trying to claim their entire family. The scene crescendos as Judy and Lorraine, with their synchronized and unbreakable bond, manage to drive the evil entity out of the house by shattering the mirror in a blinding flash of otherworldly light. When the dust settles in the aftermath of this horror, the Smurls are shaken, but alive. Though scarred by the ordeal, they decide to remain together in their home, holding on for another 3 years. Meanwhile, the Warrens safely secure the cursed mirror and take its shattered remains away to carefully lock it up in their occult museum, where it adds on to one more grim reminder of the evil they have spent their lives confronting. For Ed and Lorraine, this case marked a turning point as it was their final run as paranormal investigators. In a quiet, tender moment, we see the couple reflect on the cost of their work, the meaning behind it, and the love that has carried them through it all. This emotional closure really felt less like the end of a haunting, and more like a farewell to their careers, their calling, and the extraordinary legacy that the Warrens have left behind. How does The Last Rites bring us right to opening end of the circle? Given that this film is loosely based on a true story, Lorraine's seasoned paranormal abilities allowed her to soon figure out what was really up with the family being haunted. And that is how she explained that the Smurl house sits on farmland where a massive incident once took place. Apparently, the whole drama revolved around a wild, tormented woman who once had an affair that drove her husband insane. He went after his betrothed with a shotgun while she hid in a basement with her mother-in-law, and when the man found her, he ended up killing them both. But Lorraine also reveals how these three spirits are just a facade, as something even more evil was at work and clearly had an ulterior motive. Now we know that she was not throwing words up in the air as the real evil was encountered by the Warrens at the very start of their careers, in a scene that we witness at the beginning of the movie when an evil spirit attacked a pregnant Lorraine through the same mirror, thus almost causing her newborn baby girl to die. Even if they had gotten rid of the mirror, the evil was definitely not done with the Warrens, and was now after Judy via the Smurl house haunting, which is why it even briefly took possession of her at the end of Last Rites. Even when the mirror floats and spins, and Ed seems to cast the ugly spirit out, it turns out to be a false victory, as the malevolent force comes back even harder after quickly incapacitating Tony. Don't run is the whole theme of the movie, so that is why we see Ed, Lorraine, and Judy stay put, to face their demon by placing their hands on the mirror together. They then face twisted reflections of themselves, as well as the spirit itself, but ultimately win the war, and cast the evil out for good in a hail of glass. With the horror now over, Last Rites ends by wrapping up the story of the Warrens in the best possible way as they take the mirror home and Ed gives Tommy the keys to their occult museum as a gesture to welcome him into the family. The film then cuts to Judy and Tommy's wedding, where we spot all the characters that the Warrens have helped in previous movies, alongside Conjuring mastermind James Wan. During the reception, the Warrens dance to Comfort You by Van Morrison, as Lorraine tells Ed about the vision she has seen of their future, which involves becoming grandparents of Judy's children and even great-grandparents before writing a book to pass their knowledge on to future generations, having more adventures and helping lots more people. And as Ed responds, that definitely sounds about right. What does the post-credit scene of The Conjuring Last Rites say about the franchise's future? The post-credits of The Conjuring Last Rites pays their tribute to the iconic couple by featuring a final picture of Ed Warren alongside the Conjuring mirror that inspired the film. Even though the real-life Warrens remain controversial for several reasons, the film series has always depicted them as heroes fighting against super demonic forces. The Conjuring films have always emphasized that true-life inspiration by making the hauntings more layered and placing them firmly in the real world. This further carries over to the credits and post-credits of Last Rites for one last time, which makes sense on a thematic level. The film is very much designed as an off-ramp for the characters from the franchise by giving the Warrens as happy an ending as it could, so it can allow the series to move on beyond the paranormal investigators in future films. Starting from the real-life footage of Ed and Lorraine on talk shows, the pictures of the family, and the grainy home video, they all serve to reinforce the idea that the Warrens were in fact real, and their exploits might have also been more than just superstition. It plays up a long-running selling point of the entire franchise in a way that naturally fits the ending. Right, so the last hurrah of the Warrens concludes with more words on screen, revealing that Ed had a stroke when he was 74, and Lorraine became his caregiver caregiver for the last 5 years of his life, while she herself died at the age of 92. It also says that while their work was sometimes ridiculed, nevertheless they brought paranormal research into the mainstream. Over the end credits, we see the final epilogue for the couple in photos and footage of the real-life couple, appearing on chat shows and in the news and helping those in paranormal need. The final shot is one last photo of Ed among the items they had collected, underscoring the impact his life and stories have subsequently had in popular culture as a whole. While us horror fans have grown attached to the family over the years, it has been strongly suggested that the Conjuring franchise will continue on in new ways, even if the story of the Warrens has ended. I think by using the credits and post-credits of Last Rites to give them a happy ending, we can now finally move on to new stories within the franchise. Having said that, have you guys watched the last Conjuring film yet? If so, let us know your thoughts and opinions in the comment box below.